Hello, who are you and what did you do this weekend?
My name is Alex Moffatt and I made top 8 at the UK Nationals.
What did you end up playing for the event?
So I chose to play Zefra Endymion. I've always loved Pendulum decks and I really wanted to try out the Endymion deck when it came out, and the first build that came to mind was one that would use the Zefra cards. I'm not sure if it is the best version to go with the Endymion cards, but I didn't really test much for the tournament. I played this deck for a couple of regionals, won one of them, and I didn't really even change my list from that at all because I didn't have enough time to test. But it accommodates one another really well with the spell cards generating counters for 7, which is one of the key cards in the deck.
That's fair enough. So how were your matches then at the tournament?
So my matches were really good. So in Swiss, I lost to Salad because of anti-spell and not drawing it out, which is the typical Pendulum loss, and then also to Orcust and then Guardragons. Top cut, so I lost in top 8, but before that I played 3 Danger Thunders and somehow beat all of them, which was probably one of the scariest matchup outside of the mirror, which doesn't really exist. And then I lost to Orcust in top 8, unfortunately due to bricking, which is going to happen eventually.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Right, so let's get into his profile.
Cool. So we'll go through engine by engine. So starting off with the newest edition, which is the Endymion package. So it's not that big, but just to note as well, I am playing 49 cards in this deck. I think it's very suitable to play that many now with all these multiple engines, because a lot of the engines do have the one-ofs that you don't really want to draw. Some of them you can get away with, but playing a bigger count than 40 hopefully reduces the risk of drawing them.
Okay.
So the Endymion card, so 7 is literally the almost the best card in the deck, I would say at this point. What it allows you to do now is to, most of the time, especially with the Zefra cards, to be able to trigger it and summon out Hare and Jackal from the deck, which will avoid Electrum getting hit by hand traps, which is super important. It literally lets you play through most hand traps if they have a couple. It leaves them with 4 cards when they start, and you're still hopefully able to make a play. Going second as well, it's super important to resolve, because they essentially have to negate that, otherwise you're going to summon a Jackal or an Endymion from the deck, which will be able to deal with whatever negates they have on the board. And Endymion's scale effect is really, really good as well. I didn't resolve it many times this weekend, but I have done before, and just having the option for non-title destruction is crazy. So then the Zefra package. So we have 3 Zefras, 2 Zefra Nui, 1 Tellarknight, something or another, 3 Providence, 3 Oracle, 2 Terraforming, and then 1 of each traps. So this is quite a large Zefra count, to be honest. I will be honest as well that if you draw more than 2 Zefras, your hands are never that great. But again, 49 cards does try and play around that. And the thing is, which works really well with this deck and siding, is there's so many 3-ofs that you don't really want to see that many of going second. So for example, going second, I can side out like at least like these, if not more, which gives you so much opportunity to side in cards without having to worry about siding out key engine components. But the Zefra card themselves, the Zefra is like obviously the starter, it's essentially the Wisdom Eye of the deck. 2 Zefra Nui because I play Desires, and it's really good to have the second option, the second one to send after turn 1. And then Tellarknight guy to act as the low scale descend of Zefra, but the monster effect is really, really good because it pops Zefra scale you control and a face-up card your opponent controls, so Orcust Babel, Baiting Fog Blades, there's an infinite amount of times it will come up. Chain blocking, Zefra Nui, it's a really, really good card. So much better than Zefraxi because it doesn't really provide any utility in the deck. The spells all contribute towards the Servant and summoning her effect before Electrum. Then the traps, so Divine Strike is obvious. Zefra War, personally I really like it because, again, Desires, you're likely sometimes to banish one of them, so you can always search the other, and I'd rather pay that rather than 2 copies of Divine Strike. As well, Mystic Mine, it's insane for popping that because you can search off Providence without having to resolve any monster effects. It just provides a lot of utility, and again, it's a really easy side out going second. So that's the Zefra portion. And then the rest of the Pendulum cards. So for the Mythical Beasts engine, we have the 3 Cerberus, the 1 Garuda, the 2 Jackal. There's not really people don't seem to be as much of a fan of this as they were previously. I hugely disagree, mainly because of Garuda. So Orca's Babel is a card you need to deal with immediately because you cannot play through Dingurusu Send and Rusty Pop. So to have 4 copies of Archer and Eccentric in your deck is amazing, especially for game 1. And obviously it can deal with other random back row, Salamand Great, Salamand Rage, Raw. Just having 1 card in your main deck that's searchable off of 3 of is crazy. The monster effect never really comes up, but you do have the option sometimes to act as a hand trap. Jackal is just, now with Servant, it's like you're summoning it all the time, every game, in 2 hours most of the time. It's just so much for negates. Then the rest of the Pendulum cards, so obviously the 3 Chronograph and the 1 Time Gazer. This card I just feel gets even better as new cards come out. It just provides so much utility. The Dark Worm package, not much to say about that. The Guardragons is completely mandatory. And then so the cards to summon off the Guardragon package, so I play the Aether and the Destrudo. Yeah, Aether is just the amount, again, there's literally, this deck works like a huge set of utility cards that you can summon easily off Electromite, off the Guardragons, off the Hieratic Seal. You have so many options to play differently depending on the matchup, which is why I think the deck works so well. And Aether itself is just insane. I think it's much better than the Morphage cards to summon off the Seal because they don't act as bricks, because you have to play very differently if you open the Morphages versus if you open this, it's just the card you can summon and link away for the Guardragon plays, and Destrudo acts as the best card to summon off LP for the multiple summons. And then, so for the rest of the spells, a 3 Dragon Shrine. Unfortunately, no Foolish Barrel because I'm an idiot and I didn't write it on my deck list, which is why I was very confused when the judge told me I had 49 cards instead of the 50 card deck I had imagined to play. And in that moment, I couldn't figure out Foolish Barrel was missing, and I just sent it in as 49. So I would definitely play the Foolish Barrel if I wasn't an idiot, but I am. And then, so because we play the Zefra cards, it's a field spell option, so it makes very much sense to play Ravine and Set Rotation as an extra way to search either or. And Set Rotation is amazing against mine, and any of the decks that use field spells, so Salad, Striker even, Orca's Babel is another out for that in your main deck game 1. And Dragon Ravine is very risky, playing it Pendulum, discarding it, you're down to 3 cards. If it gets Ash, Ogred, whatever, it can be a bit risky, but I think it's still worth having for a Set Rotation target. I should have considered playing Mystic Mine. I think that would have been another really good target for Set Rotation, but I didn't test it, unfortunately. And then the last cards, just the draw cards, so 3 Desires and 1 Upstart. Desires, it can be risky in this deck because you do have a lot of one-offs, but I think it's worth the risk for the cards you can draw off. I always love playing Desires in Pendulum because you're limited with your hand size. Being able to use your scales, obviously, you're always going to be down 2 cards at least. So upping that is insane, and I always believe that Desires is like the best card going second because you want as many cards to break boards as possible. So that's it for the main deck, 49 cards, but like I said, should have been 50. Extra deck, no explanation needed. Then the Guardragon cards, all very, very standard. It's crazy how you can use all your cards in your disposal to break the board, and then if you get to Electrum and a Dark Worm, if Electrum gets Fogbladed, whatever, as long as the Dark Worm's there, you're probably going to kill them. And then, so the 2 7s to summon off the Strudo, I have Dragster and Quantum. Most game 1s I will summon Dragster, and then game 2 and 3 to play around Pranktops I'll be summoning Quantum Dragon, or if it's Sky Striker, which I didn't get to play any of. And then the 2 Borrels, never summon Borrel Load, but it's really good to have as an option, and Borrel Sword is obviously going to end a lot of games in Pendulum. And then, so kind of like the flex spots, you could say, because you have so much space in this extra deck. You're not playing Magicians, you're not playing Synchro 8s or Rank 4s. So we have Beat Cop as the generic Link 2. It's really, really good in Pendulum decks. Doesn't really matter. It's not Lang for Linkless because you can't use it to link Climb into Borrel Sword. And then Phoenix and Avramax, just again, because I have so much space, this card is quite good sometimes in grind games if you aren't able to get to the monsters you need. It's really good just to sit on to stall, hopefully, to get the right card you need to win. Phoenix, again, I think I summoned it once. There are kind of weird situations where maybe there's a card you want to discard, or if there's a wolf up that you want to attempt to get a draw off. It's very rare you need it, but it's good to have as an option sometimes if times get desperate. And then the last 2 spots, again, because we have so much space, I thought, why not just put in 2 burn cards if they ever need to get summoned in time for whatever reason. This one, it burns for 200 if you have 1 dragon in your grave, and more if you have more. So what you need to do is just basically link into Triple Burst, and then with another monster link into this, and it's guaranteed 200 damage. And this is to summon off Agapane if you ever need to for pushing through boards again, or just for time purposes. That's the extra deck. Then the side deck, so I'm just going to show all of it. So the 3 Cosmics, the 2 Red Reboot, 1 Black Garden, 3 Denko, 3 Sphere Mode, and 3 Phantasme. So the side deck is basically either spell and trap removal or ways to stop them from being activated, or basically for combo decks like Thunder or the Mirror, either open Sphere Mode or hope to draw into Sphere Mode, because that's realistically the only way you can break the board. And like I said, I beat 3 Thunder Dangers in Top Cut. Sphere Mode was the reason why I either won those game 2 and 3s after I made to go second. For the back row decks then, so for Striker, it's going to be Denkos and Cosmics, Salads, depending on if I feel like they're going to be siding anti-spells, Reboots and Cyclones, or Cyclones and Denkos. And Cyclones are really good as well for decks like Orcust. I once opened Red Reboot and Cosmic against Orcust, and I know they had the Counter Trap and the Field Spell amongst other sets. So I Cosmic the Field Spell. They chain the Counter Trap, I chain Red Reboot, and the game was over at that point. Because all they had was just some monsters I had to clear out, which is very, very easy to do in Pendulum. And lastly, but not least, the Black Garden. I never actually sided this in because I didn't play against any Mine or Striker, but the theory is there. If you're playing the Terraforming set rotation, you should definitely be playing this in a deck like Pendulum to stop the Striker back row, stop the Mine, turn it off. It's a really, really good card, I think.
Awesome. Right. Any shout outs to anybody?
Yep, so first of them, shout out to our team, the Disciples. We conquered Nax again this year. So 6 of us topped, 3 of us in top 8, and obviously Marcus Patel, our boy, won the whole event. So huge congratulations to him and everyone else on the team who supported him. Shout outs as well to Mike, Jamie, and everyone else from the Brotherhood who's back in the team. Shout outs to Dougie for driving us in his notorious Team Harvard, supporting everyone. That's about it, I think. So,
all right. Congratulations, mate. Well done.
Thank you.